Hey, what's happening, family? What's happening, Rich? Wall Street Williams here on the Motivate Podcast Show. Um, really just want to take some opportunity to jump on here. There's three things I've been talking about, but I want to first start with expressing our gratitude, how grateful we are. We are at almost 300 subscribers, man. We started this podcast June of 2022, somewhere around June 2022, less than a year ago. We started this podcast, and it's just exciting to see that we're almost at 300 subscribers. So I'm just really grateful and thankful for that. But talking about performance, your performance, how we perform, it's a prophecy of the way that we practice. Performance is a prophecy of the way that we practice. What does that mean? The way my attitude towards practice, how I show up for practice, and practice can be anything. Practice can be sports. In my case, I played a lot of basketball in high school and then after high school. So I spent a lot of time practicing basketball. And your attitude about practice shows up in your performance. If you get to practice late, or you go through the drills at 50% as opposed to giving it 100%, you commit to memorizing the plays, you rehearse the plays over and over, you discuss the plays. See, all of this is part of your practice. So your attitude about practice, how you show up for practice, has a lot to do with the way that you perform. So you can't skip practice and expect to excel when it's time to perform. You cannot skip practice. What is practice? Practice is learning the plays. Practice is learning the drills. Practice is the conditioning. See, success on the outside starts with success on the inside. You don't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to run a marathon, which is about 26 miles. You don't just wake up and run 26 miles. You prepare for it. Right? There's a certain level of workout. There's a certain level of practicing, running, etc. That leads to that marathon performance, and it's in every area of life. And so I'm focusing for the next couple of weeks on our performance. What does it look like? How are we practicing? Because there's performance, there's practice, and then there's progression. Progression is the consistent level of performance. Progression is what performance produces. So performance is a prophecy of the way that I practice. Performance is a prophecy of the way that I practice. And progression is the result or the continued result of my performance. Again, let's use teams. Let's use basketball as an example. Team does well in the regular season and they position themselves in a certain place in the regular season. They qualify for the playoffs, right? They have the quarterfinals, they have the semifinals, and then you get to the finals, right? And so the way that I perform during the game, the way that I perform during the season will determine how I position, number one, in the playoff, and number two, how I progress through the playoff to the championship and eventually to the ring. So I want you to take that analogy and look at life. I want you to look at your business as an example. How's your business performing? Is it doing well? Are you on track? Are you above track? Are you behind? How is your business performing? And if you look at the practice of your business, you look at you look at your team as an example. Do they come early? Do they stay late? Are they sharpening their professional sword? In other words, are they reading books? Think about this. Ask your team this. Challenge your team. When was the last time you read at least 3 books within the past 12 months as it relates to your career, your vocation? So if I'm in sales, I should be reading books on sales, right? If I'm a plumber, I should be reading books on plumbing. If I'm a landscaper, then I'm reading books on landscaping. I'm getting better. I'm sharpening my professional sword because the way that we practice, performance is a prophecy of practice. Performance is a prophecy of practice. You show me a team's attitude and workout regimen, and I can almost predict their performance. and their performance then progression then is a result of how they perform. So I'm hoping that you're taking these little nuggets, these little pieces of information. Go back to your team. Ask your team, how are they performing? Ask your team, what does your practice look like? Are you reading books? When was the last time? It's a great question to ask. When was the last time you read it with at least 2 or 3 books about your profession, about your vocation, about the thing that you are doing as a career? When was the last time you read 2 or 3 books concerning it? And that will tell you a lot about your practice. I'm Rich Wall Street Williams from the Motivate Podcast Show. At the Motivate Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely believe for more. I'll see you.